Aurora here initially so that they can get into the rest of their game plan.
Two quick kills by Heron have them up 2-0. We're in case number 3, neutral sets versus our number 4 team versus our number 1 team. Aurora now getting some hits on Heron. Good to see there in terms of a more neutral fight. Survived that first merge, took some hits, but survived. Now fighting for advantage. We're at 10,000 feet. Actually, pretty significant altitude split, Glock, from Team Aurora and Team Heron right now.
That's
a high
right.
altitude fight.
And we've got a nice vertical fight developing here. Aurora doing a great job surviving that initial setup. And then now, if I'm Aurora, the name of the game is I cannot let Heron get far away from me. If they get far away, they're going to turn back around and take another one of those high aspect shots. So I've got to keep this fight close, got to prevent them from being able to do it. And they're doing a great job. You saw right there inside of 1,000 feet as they're into this rolling maneuver. Really interesting that they're up at, like you said, 10,000 feet. This fight not going to the floor like we saw in the last round of the semifinals.
Yeah, so a higher altitude flight, less Gs. It really shows how really, in some ways, all the agents have learned to play the game, but their approach and how they interact. Dogfighting is not an individual sport, right? It takes 2 to tango. And really, a lot of your maneuvers, you've come in, like you mentioned, Glock, so well that you've got a game plan based on the aircraft you're riding into battle, the enemy that you're fighting. But really, it's a game of cat and mouse, right? Moves and counter moves, constantly assessing whether you're winning or losing, whether you have advantage or disadvantage, and changing your game plan. In this case, now we're working our way down to the floor. And a somewhat of a vertical fight.
Aurora, fantastic maneuver there. You could see Heron extend away. They got to 4,000 to 5,000 feet. They almost got their nose back around onto Aurora, and they just managed to stay out of the way. And they're go Aurora with the kill. Fantastic long-range maneuvering there, getting some strong defense out of Aurora. Really excellent BFM.
So unlike the last flight, we're seeing once the runs kick off at that neutral merge, both aircraft making aggressive maneuvers off the bat to come to that neutral merge. Here's 2 head-on gunfight. It was like a mutual mort there.
Mutual kill. They just shot each other all the way into the merge. So you can see we've focused a lot on Heron's fine control with that gun mech, but Aurora, no slouches in that arena either. They're bringing an excellent endgame controller right here, getting some significant frames on the Heron team.
Throughout the trials, trial 1, where everybody was learning to fly, trial 2 was really that first competition where we started to see BFM maneuvers, Glock. And that was really when Heron, when we talked about them just live a couple of minutes ago, they were talking about that league play where they really started introducing to the APL agents that we've developed that really aggressive nose-on guns maneuver. I imagine the other teams, while we weren't doing head-to-head matchups at that time, were looking ahead to trials 3, looking ahead to the finals, and knew they were going to have to face Heron, and really did incorporated that kind of lesson learned into their agents. Aurora and Heron fighting a pretty darn close fight here, and really a different fight than what we saw in semifinal number 1.
Very much so. You have to be concerned if you're on the Heron team that your agent may have overfit to that particular tactic. I remember fighting BFM against a pilot that would tend to do a very aggressive gunshot, and where most pilots would reposition, come off of that attack and change tactics, this individual would just keep on trucking. And if it caught you by surprise, it would usually result in you dying and losing that fight. But if you were able to react to it, if you're able to learn and adapt, then now you could capitalize on that BFM error when his aircraft overshot. And I think that's what we're seeing here is if you're that Heron Systems team, as long as your tactic is working, it's great. But we're going to see if the other teams are able to adapt to that and overcome with other skills in this BFM arena.
Yeah, certainly Heron has proved that they're lethal coming into the merge, and there's another kill by Heron. It's 4-1 with one kind of mutual mort there. The computers couldn't even tell who killed each other first. So actually the tie was they both killed each other at the same time. Yeah, the key to the fight here, certainly Aurora has learned to get head-on gunshot as well. Got to survive that first merge, then get into a position where they can't really allow that follow-on merge, right? So if they can get behind into the control zone and really maneuver and keep Heron defensive, it looks like they might actually have a chance in this competition.
That's right. A very even fight here on case 7. You can see Aurora with just a little more damage to them than what Heron's gotten. But in that rolling scissors type maneuver, if you watch Heron's aircraft, they're shown in the green. You can almost see when it says, hey, I've got a chance to attack right now. I mean, the fangs come out and it goes, I am going to point my nose at you as quickly as possible. Often you see out with that aggressive nose low position, using that benefit of that top of that kind of egg shape we talked about earlier to get its nose right around as quickly as possible. Also very impressive from the Heron team. If you watch their control surfaces there, our control inputs on the left side of the screen, that stick and throttle, very smooth. Clearly has a game plan that it's executing and is consciously and deliberately carrying out that game plan, not aggressively moving around the controls or switching back and forth in erratic fashion. So really a very deliberate type of agent that they have for their system.
Rapidly descending fight right now. You know, I was just thinking to myself, reflecting back when I was in flight school, and you know, you get it's an art and a science, and you start off with kind of the basics of BFM and watching the kind of a flight pass. And if you're joining us, welcome to the Alpha Dogfight Trials, streaming on Zoom as well as YouTube. We're live from APL. This is semifinal number 2. Our number 1 team Heron scoring against number 4 Aurora. We just had semifinal number 1 where Lockheed was victorious over Physics AI. And as I was saying, you know, you look at the books and you have these graphics before you hop into the jet and actually learn these maneuvers. These flight path hits fights on.
All right, and we'll see right away off the bat. You see that range separating between the two aircraft. Heron has typically done a really good job of capitalizing on that. I think you're going to see both pointing at each other from 3,000 feet away, nose to nose. Who's got better gun mech as we go to this first high aspect merge? And Lockheed, it looks like it took a death there from Heron, if I could see correctly.
Yes.
And that's what the team is confirming. Yep, Heron's just amazing, fine control there on those high aspect gunshots.
Lockheed got some shots on as well, but you know, we've mech'd up the game where you know, there's a very narrow difference if you get your nose on a second or two late and you know your aircraft's out of health. So that's what we've seen so far. Lockheed getting shots on Heron, but Heron's more lethal, quicker to get the pipper on.
And what we're seeing is not only quicker to get the pipper on, but I think what you're really seeing is fine control in that end game there. If you watch very, very closely, and it's happening very fast, in that kind of 1,500 to 500 foot region, that cone, because it is a cone, gets very small off the nose of your aircraft. But Heron is so good at keeping that pencil thin beam on the other airplane, whereas Lockheed maybe is not quite keeping it on there, not quite able to get those really high payout gun frames in that 1,000 to 500 foot range. And that seems to be making the difference in Heron being able to get the kills today.
It is really a rapid series of fights, very different than the 2 equally matched teams that were fighting in 3rd and 4th position there. That was,
and they survived. Look at them both. You can see that health, just each one of them extracting a significant amount of damage from the other. And now we'll see 5,000 feet. It's going to be enough room for Heron to turn around. Can they get their nose back onto Lockheed? Lockheed driving that fight a little bit.
Yeah.
They're back at the 6 o'clock. This is a very close fight here.
Yeah. So what's really interesting out of these top teams is for those that are employing, aggressive gun maneuvers there, that, you survive the first merge and Lockheed draws first blood for their team, 4-1, 4 quick kills by Heron here in the Alpha Dogfight Trials. This is the finals. We've been training a year for this, or the teams have been training a year for this. And very exciting matchup between our number 1 and number 2 teams.
That's right. And we've talked about how these very aggressive game plans, they can work very well when you're able to get the entire kill on that leaf. But if you're not, then you may have committed something of a BFM error. You may have given that other aircraft a potential advantage to exploit. And if they're able to do so, that whole fight could switch over to the other team's advantage. You're seeing Lockheed doing a really good job of making sure that they're extracting their pound of flesh in those initial merges, and then they're maneuvering aggressively and trying to get their nose on very quickly to get some more frames on that Heron Systems team.
Another more or less neutral merge there. This fight, the first couple of fights probably didn't, go past maybe 10 seconds. This one's almost a minute now. Some turning, both aircraft not with a lot of health left. And Lockheed
doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, giving Heron a run for their money, 4-2, no ties yet. Both, seeing a couple of kills at the merge. They're maneuvering in the mid-teens, 14, 15,000 feet, speeding up as they come into the merge. Lockheed getting some good hits there. Let's see what happens.
Interesting. That merge was really interesting. They were high aspect, plenty of range between the two of them. Lockheed somehow maneuvered, or Heron did something slightly differently, and Lockheed got a bunch of frames without Heron getting a single one at that first pass.
And that was a great recovery by Heron to make that high aspect shot right there to kind of even the health as they go in this descending sort of rolling fight as they're jockeying for positions. If you're joining us for the first time, you're watching Alpha Dogfight TV, a live real-time simulation dogfight where Heron Systems artificial intelligence agent is fighting against Lockheed Martin. This is the finals. Whoever comes out of this end of this 20 rounds will be crowned Alpha Dogfight champions in the main event.
Heron able to get their nose around. They've used that vertical maneuver very frequently, but Lockheed had that great initial shot and able to finish the job 4-3. I mean,
we've got ourselves a competition.
Close fight we're seeing as we start case 8.
You know, absolutely a year ago, if we could have scripted this out, I don't think we could have, predicted how close, how far these teams have come, and really how exciting this truly is.
Heron with a quick kill. You saw that fine motor control there, that fine gun control as they got into that merge. Heron able to get the job done against Lockheed. We'll see as another one, 6,000, 5,000, that closure there approaching 1,000 miles an hour. They're able to just aim so accurately, and Heron's they're edging out just a little bit more.
Yep, they're just
on those initial passes.
Getting shots on earlier enough. And if you're tuning in at home, you really want to pay attention to that upper left corner where it says distance. Nose on outside of 3,000 feet doesn't count. So that's why you're starting to see those jets turn white and get hits on inside that bubble. The closer you are, the more damage you're going to deal.
As you watch the middle of the screen there, those control views looking down on that control stick, man, Heron is just smooth as butter as you watch them entering those control inputs, letting them take effect and going. Lockheed taking a much more aggressive approach to their control inputs, many inputs per second in some cases. But it's working for them here as they survive that initial onslaught. Just a little bit of life left, but that gives them a chance in this fight.
Oh, yeah, good head-on pass there by Lockheed. Both aircraft with very little health left. Anybody that can get even a quick snap on the other target, it looks like they're going to win this round. And boom, Heron with the kill.
Well, this is back and forth. We're entering case 12 of our 20. You can see Heron again. You can see that red, yellow, green, and when it hits green, the fight
Fight's on.
These initial conditions, you can see that range opening up. Banger aggressively maneuvering nose low, looking to collapse that range as quickly as he can. 6,000, 5,000. He's going to continue that turn and watch as he stays outside of that nose as much as possible. Look at that. 0 damage to Banger through that initial merge, something we did not see almost any of the AI agents able to do. And now it's going to be a matter of controlling that range. There'll be another opportunity as they come back around, that range separation opening back up. It's going to be very difficult to stay out of the way of that nose there.
A little hit there by Banger, took a little bit.
Absolutely. As this fight's going now downhill, vertical down, you see each of them really rolling that airplane and going aggressively downhill, passing now down through 10,000 feet, fighting this very aggressive 2-circle fight. And you can see there's Heron with that really amazing fine motor control for that gunshot in a very close range, very high heading crossing hill, very high closure.
So we got a vertical fight. You can see in the lower right-hand corner, Banger coming in over the top, trying to avoid that merge, getting hit once again. Very close to running out of aircraft health in this first setup. Aggressive nose low maneuvers. Heron sticking with them though.
That's right. Heron doing a nice job, and they've managed to get back to a good control position there, and they're going to score the first victory of the setup today.
Really amazing, simulation environment that the team here at APL has been able to create. You're joining us live in the Alpha Dogfight Trials. This is the main event. Heron, our ADD champion, versus our F-16 weapon instructor course pilot, Banger. It's 1-0, and Banger's getting set up for the next round.
So some things for us to think about as we start this next fight, that aggressive vertical down maneuvering. It was good at collapsing that initial range, but it was able to open back up and let Heron get a chance to produce that very impressive gun mech that they have. We'll see now if Banger's able to tighten this turn up, able to stay inside of a few thousand feet, driving back towards the control zone.
lag maneuver there.
A beautiful roll inverted back towards Heron's 6 o'clock. That's going to do a good job of trying to align those turn circles, align those ribbons a little bit better. And you see the two of them now moving to a single circle fight type of engagement at 5,000 feet, passing through. Heron with a chance to put that lethal gun cone on, and Banger maneuvering to get out of the way.
A little bit of a guns D.
And Heron now potentially overshooting. We'll see if Banger's able to capitalize as that range is opening back up.
So in the mid.
Very smooth control inputs. If you look at both of these aircraft, both Bangers and Herons, you're seeing very smooth control inputs, very deliberate maneuvering as they go through here now, with Heron scoring that second kill of the day. This fight now setting up lower in altitude, about 7,000 feet, about 400 knots. Both of these jets are gonna have a lot of energy, a lot of options available to them as to which direction they turn, and then also whether they want to exploit vertical going up or vertical going down.
And once again, if you're joining us, you look in the lower right-hand corner, you can see sort of a stoplight, red, yellow, green, and that's when we know that the fight's getting ready to kick off. That's Banger in the VR setup, really driving that engagement. Neutral conditions, about 2,500 feet separation. What's the airspeed we looking at there?
400 knots, so they're going pretty quickly here. We'll see as Heron does that kind of up and away pitch, looking for an opportunity to get that nose around. Banger digging low into the inside to try to stay outside of that nose cone.
Little hits there, coming through the merge, surviving that merge barely. Let's see if he can saddle up. Aggressive over the top maneuver. Looks like he's got perhaps a positional advantage now.
It's going to be challenging though, that range, if it opens up out there, that 5, 6, 7,000 feet, but he survives. Heron going to use any of that range available to try to get their nose on and be able to get that gunshot that they are so very good at.
Close down to the deck, guns almost looking like aggressive nose move up, able to avoid the gun shot there by Heron.
That's right. I think what you're seeing here is a shift in tactics from Banger. I think you're seeing him look to see if he can maneuver to get this adversary down to the floor. Can he scrape them off on that 1,000-foot hard deck?
And we certainly saw some of that in the semifinals. A couple of teams falling victim to the deck, which has got a piece of KF1.
And this setup now going to be even closer there. You're looking at 3,000 feet or so. So really lower altitude is going to be starting out very, very close to that hard deck.
See how Banger changes up his game plan. Really exciting fight. Heron proving to be lethal. Excellent pointing ability with the gun inside 3,000 feet. Banger mixing some stuff up. Typically have gone nose low, trying to raid around on Heron, while avoiding that head-on pass that has proved to be so lethal.
Yep, and I take it back, this set up in the low teens, so 13 or so thousand feet. Plenty of options available to both of the aircraft here. As we see that range opening up, 4,000, 5,000 feet, expecting to see Heron, as they have, turn and probably put that nose on as best as they can, see if they can score some points in that high aspect gunshot. Really a gunshot that is almost impossible. It is almost definitively that superhuman capability that we talk about out of the AI, to be able to aim that accurately and to be able to do it in such a dynamic situation.
Another quick kill by Heron, 4-0 in terms of Heron versus Banger. Heading into the final event here, the final matchup. Let's see. I don't know if we were able to talk to Banger. Banger, are you up?
Yeah, I'm up. Check.
How are you feeling right now? Are you thinking about mixing stuff up for this last run?
Yeah, you know, the kind of the standard things that we do as fighter pilots are not working, right? So for this last one, I'll try to change it up a little bit, just to see if we can do something different. You know, that initial turn is what's getting it where I lose a lot of life there. So still not able to fully avoid the WES. You know, with these initial starting parameters, it makes it that separation out to 8,000 feet is probably going to happen 7,000, 8,000 feet. So I just got to look to opportunities to minimize that distance separation away from the adversary, try to get him back in so I can press inside or stay outside of his kind of nose area there. So we'll try to do something a little bit different on this last one, and we'll have fun no matter what happens.
All right. Thanks, Banger. Over to you.
Banger's comments there, I think, very telling as to just how far Heron Systems has come. We're doing the normal fighter pilot things here from the human side, and we're seeing that Heron is able to handle them very consistently, and that's just really impressive to have done in just a 1 year type of timeline.
Yeah, truly impressive. And it's while the score doesn't indicate that, it's been a great fight. It really difficult to get outside of that merge and have Heron, not kill you on that first merge. So
But
Banger
Banger
mixing
does exactly that here. He survives through that first merge and is maneuvering now in this descending fight, 2,000 feet, right where he wants to be as they're continuing this spiraling descent down there towards the floor.
Let's see if he can stay behind Heron and not spill out in front. A little bit of a reversal there.
The energy is just so important here as you think about it between the two airplanes. Where are they on that sliding scale? We're seeing 300, 400 knots, a lot of energy on both of those jets. They're descending down quickly, 5,000 feet. They're going to be approaching that floor very soon, and they're going to have to adjust their lift vector, adjust where they're flying, and we'll see how they're able to preserve that energy and what they choose to do with it once they get down there to that floor.
Yeah, Banger really wrapping it up. 9 Gs, trying to extend outside that 3,000-foot zone, get away from, Heron, who's been pretty lethal with the gun, looking to find some way to get behind Heron without getting shot getting there.
And getting right down to the floor, Banger down at 1,300 feet. He's going to really make Heron prove that they can do this gunshot at the floor. One of the most difficult things you can do in airborne execution in an F-16. We'll see if the AI is able to hack it.
So I get it. And
This tactic seems to be working for Banger. If you take a look at it, Heron is really having a hard time getting that gun nose on and getting damage against Banger's aircraft down there this low to the ground.
So pretty good closure right now. High aspect shot there. Banger going to the vertical.
Just amazing. This is really aggressive maneuvering. If you look at the G meters in real world, we're talking 9 Gs, really physically demanding, 500 knots. You're talking about flying around in the air greater than 500 miles an hour and trying to do these very fine motor skill controls against another aircraft. Absolutely impressive work here, both out of Banger and out of our Heron agent, not struggling down there at the floor as we saw some of our other agents earlier today having to deal with.
Just inside of 3,000 feet. Looks like he's Heron saddling up and with the kill.
And again, more of just that superhuman aiming ability that we're seeing out of Heron in this simulated environment, able to just follow that other airplane along, even through defensive types of maneuvers.